Have you ever wondered how we piece together the story of an empire that vanished over 1,500 years ago? Well, today we're not just going to learn about the Gupta Empire of India, we're actually going to become historical detectives. Our mission? To follow the clues from massive stone pillars to tiny gold coins and reconstruct their entire world. So, the Gupta Empire, you've probably heard it called India's Golden Age, and for good reason. This was a time of just incredible achievements in science, art, literature, you name it. They really set a standard for centuries to come. And just look at this map. You can get a sense of the vast area they influenced. But that brings up a really fascinating question, doesn't it? I mean, without photos, without audio recordings, how do we actually know any of this happened? That's the real mystery we're diving into, not just what the Gupta Empire was, but how we use these fragmented clues to piece their amazing story back together. Okay, so our investigation is going to start with the most durable evidence you can possibly imagine, messages carved right into stone and metal. You can think of these as the official press releases from the Gupta dynasty, literally designed to last forever. Our first major clue is the Allahabad Pillar. Now, this isn't just some boring list of dates. Oh no, it's a panegyric, a glowing tribute written by the court poet Harshavardhana. And he tells us his king, Samudragupta, was an absolute military genius who was never, ever defeated in battle. This one pillar, believe it or not, is our single most important source for his entire reign. And for clue number 2, we've got the famous Iron Pillar in Delhi. This thing is an engineering marvel. Seriously, it's been standing there for 1,600 years without rusting. But what's its secret for us historians? Well, the inscription on it celebrates a king named Chandra, and scholars are pretty darn sure that's the great Chandragupta II. It gives us a direct, physical link to another key ruler. Okay, so official records tell us the story the rulers wanted everyone to hear. But what about the other side of the coin? To really get a feel for what life was like for regular people, we need an outsider's perspective. And lucky for us, history gave us one. Our star witness is a Chinese Buddhist pilgrim named Fa-Hien. Now, he wasn't a king, he wasn't a court poet, he was a traveler, walking across the entire empire during the reign of Chandragupta II. His journal gives us this priceless, on-the-ground perspective that you just can't get from a royal pillar. So what did our man Fa-Hien see? Well, he paints a picture of a remarkably peaceful and well-run society. He wrote that the government was mild, punishments were light, often just fines, and the roads were safe. This is a crucial counter-narrative to the official story of military might. It shows us a totally different, more peaceful side of the Gupta Golden Age. All right, let's move on to our next set of clues. We're zooming in now from those massive pillars to much smaller, more personal items. You know, the money people actually used and the stories they told. These little artifacts can reveal the entire cultural fabric of an empire. Take a look at this. It's a gold coin, minted by the same emperor from the Allahabad Pillar, Samudragupta. I know it's tiny, but trust me, it is packed with information. So let's put on our detective hats again. What can one little object like this really tell us about a ruler and his whole empire? Well, as it turns out, a whole lot. This single coin is a treasure trove. I mean, first off, the fact that it's gold tells you the economy was probably booming. But look closer at the image. Samudragupta isn't a warrior here. He's a musician playing the veena. This perfectly matches historical texts that call him Kavi Raja, or the king of poets. We also know he was a patron of Buddhist scholars, so the coin hints at religious tolerance. It reveals this multi-talented ruler, way more complex than just the military conqueror on the pillars. And it wasn't just coins. We've got literary works, like plays, that give us all the drama that the official histories leave out. The play Devi Chandraguptam tells this thrilling story of palace intrigue, how Chandragupta II saved his brother's wife from an enemy king, and then ended up taking the throne himself. That's a story you are never going to find carved in stone. So, we've gathered our clues, we've got the official inscriptions, a traveler's journal, some coins, and even a play. Now it's time for the really fun part, assembling the puzzle. Let's see how all these different pieces of evidence come together to build the timeline of the Gupta dynasty. See how it all just clicks into place? We reconstruct Samudragupta's conquests because of the Allahabad Pillar. We get a feel for the era of Chandragupta II thanks to Fa-Hien's journal and that Morali pillar. And another inscription, the Junagarh one, tells us all about Skandagupta's epic defense against Hun invaders. Each piece of evidence becomes a critical point on this timeline,
turning a bunch of scattered clues into a coherent story.
But a timeline of rulers, that's only part of the story. The very same sources that help us build this timeline also reveal something really important. The Guptas did not exist in a vacuum. They were a major power for sure, but they were on a crowded and very complex political stage.
So, down to the south, in the Deccan region, you had the Vakatakas. Now, we know from records that Chandragupta II formed a really crucial marriage alliance here, marrying his own daughter, Prabhavati Gupta, to a Vakataka prince. This wasn't just a family affair. It was a brilliant strategic move that gave the Guptas a ton of influence deep in the south.
Go even further south, and you find the Pallavas, who were a rising power in their own right. Inscriptions from their kingdom show they were independent sovereigns, building their own empire. This is great for us because it helps map the actual limits of Gupta authority.
And what about the northeast? Well, there we have Kamarupa. Now, how do we know their relationship with the Guptas? We go right back to our very first clue, the Allahabad Pillar. It explicitly lists them as a frontier state that paid tribute. See? This is how a single source can help us map out the entire geopolitical landscape.
Okay, so we've built a pretty detailed picture here. But like any good detective story, this case is not completely closed. History is a living, breathing field of study, and there are still some mysteries that puzzle historians to this day.
For example, we're still not 100% sure about the Gupta's origins. Some ancient texts suggest they came from the Vaishya, or merchant class. Archaeological evidence since they started out as feudatories, subordinate rulers to the earlier Kushan Empire. But the exact story of how they rose to become the supreme power, that is still a subject of some pretty intense debate. So you see, history isn't just a set of facts to be memorized. It's a process of discovery, of piecing together this grand puzzle from the clues that people left behind. And that leaves us with a final thought. Every inscription, every single coin is a voice from the past. It just makes you wonder, right? What other stories are still out there, buried under the earth, just waiting for a future detective to uncover them?